Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to go over the top 10 things that I really want Asobo to change for Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 in the upcoming updates. Now obviously leaving everything aside, this sim is a huge upgrade in terms of visuals and weather and all of that. So nothing that I say in this video should be taken as me crapping on Asobo. I might get annoyed at some point because of some of the things that are like really silly that needs to be fixed. So but yeah, don't take any of this as me trying to crap on Asobo or Microsoft or anyone. So yeah, before I get into the topic, please make sure you leave a like on the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel a lot. It really helps me with my motivation in making these videos. I do work full time, so it takes a lot of time and effort to put these things together for you guys to watch for free. So yeah, please make sure you like and subscribe, and if you don't like the content at some point, you can always unsubscribe later. So yeah, I would really appreciate if you could help me out with those couple of clicks. With that out of the way, let's get into the topic. Okay, so one of the first things that I really want Asobo to fix is this toolbar thing, the ribbon that shows up every time I move my mouse. Unless I'm moving it in the pan mode, every time I move my mouse, this ribbon shows up, and it is really distracting, especially at night when everything is really dark and this white thing shows up right on top. It's amazing how it was already fixed on MSFS 2020 by freeware add-on developers, and that didn't follow through on 2024. Like, this is one of the simplest things that I really want them to fix in like the next update. This is really distracting, and I'm not going to pay $7 for a simple ribbon removal, which should be really simple to do. Come on guys, like this should be one of the first things that needs to be fixed. It's a quality of life improvement. It's not that hard. Please fix this in the next update. Okay, now the next thing is to decouple the live weather and live time. This was just fine in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. There was no problem with this, right? If I'm flying at night from Chicago to Boston, because I have a day job, right, I should be able to fly with live weather, but during the daytime, right? What happens now is, since they have this whole 24-hour weather saving thing, as soon as I move the time around, you will see that the weather changes too. It's no more live weather, but it's the weather that it was during that time, right? And it takes a while to load up. That's fine. Don't have a problem with that really. But you see how the weather has completely changed to the time that I changed it to, right? That's not what I want. I just want to fly in the current weather, but at a different time. If anything, there should at least be an option to use live weather during that time, or whether to use the live weather during the current time, but just change the time of the day, right? Because I still want to fly in the current weather. I just want to change the time. That's all I want to do, and this was just fine in MSFS 2020. So this is one of the things that I don't know if it's easy to do, but it should be, they should at least give us an option to do this. So as I'm coming in here for a landing, we'll talk about the next thing. You will see that during landings, I get a lot of stutters, and I just don't know. I just don't know if it's Phoenix or if it's MSFS, but this is something that has happened even with default airplanes, where everything just starts stuttering around the really big airports. So and again, this is lack of knowledge. I don't know what's causing these stutters, but I would really appreciate if these stutters are gone, because it has ruined quite a bit of my landings. So not sure if this is Phoenix or MSFS, but overall in MSFS I have seen this kind of stutters at a lot of airports. And I know they fixed some of them in the last update, but I hope this is also, in the works. I'm not expecting this to be like solved right away in maybe the next update, but just something that, needs to be figured out. Next on my list is the replay tool. Obviously the replay tool compared to MSFS 2020, it's a huge upgrade, right? You have a lot of new options. The whole FCR thing that was available offline is now integrated into the sim, so that's great. It's just that there are still some really annoying bugs that are there. So sometimes when I click on the FCR, it doesn't even open up the whole window. It's not reliable, so I can't really show you the issue, but it kind of opens up something like this, and no matter what you click here, it doesn't expand. There was one time when I was trying to test it and record my landing, and when I hit record and then I hit cancel because I was also recording my landing through OBS. By the way, look at this thing. Look at this thing. I just can't get over that. I know we have already covered this issue, but like, why does this thing have to come on every time I move my mouse anywhere on the screen? Anyway, back to the topic. So FCR, right? What I said, I've hit record and then I close it because I want to record the whole screen. And then after the landing is done and everything, I click on FCR again, and the only thing that shows up is this part. I've tried to expand the window, I've tried to, close it and open it again, things like that. But no matter what I do, that recording is just gone because the FCR embedded window does not even expand. So there are things like that that's still, a little bit annoying. But overall, overall this is a huge upgrade over 2020. It's just that it becomes unusable when you have this kind of bugs, right? So yeah, that's another thing. Next thing is the controls setup. Now I've already done a couple of videos on this, maybe more. I know people are now getting hang of it, but there are still very weird things about this controls menu which I cannot fathom how that went through the whole final release. So for example, one of the things is if you go to hardware settings, let me go back to, let's say, TCA yoke, and if I go to hardware settings, even though I am moving the axis, I can't see any movement here. I cannot. None of these axes. None of it works. Why is this bugged out in the final release of a game that is of such high interest and budget, right? That's something that I just cannot, I can't digest that, right? It doesn't work. Now, another thing is, like, for example, let's say on keyboard, right? Let's just go to cameras, I guess. Point that I want to make here basically is if I am clicking on a button, right? If I'm clicking on a button, that should lighten up so that I know what I'm clicking. Okay. Now that's not very obvious on the keyboard, but when it comes to, let's say, a joystick which is not even detected by the flight sim, I would want to know, right, what button I'm pressing. Like, for example, if the POV top switch, right, is set to cockpit view upper, I'm clicking on the POV top switch, but it's not lighting up, so I don't know which axis it is, right? So in order to just detect the axis, like for example, there's button 22 assigned to autopilot off. Okay, which button is that out of the 20 buttons that I have here on this joystick, right? I'm pressing all of them, but none of them show up, right? None of them are lighting up. So that would be really, really user friendly to light up the buttons whenever I'm pressing them, so that I know that, okay, I'm pressing button 9 and that should be toggle EFB for me. I'm pressing button 22 and that should be autopilot off for me. It shouldn't be this hard to figure out which button is what. Like, I have to go to the manual every time and try to figure out which button is assigned to what number, and then come in here and map it, right? Really annoying. And should be an easy fix too, as far as I know, which is not, I don't know too much, but yeah, it should be an easy fix because it works in MSFS 2020. So I assume that it should work on this. It works on every other game. So yeah, that's one of the things. Okay, another thing, usually when I'm coming in for a landing, and this is my rough assessment, usually this happens only when I'm coming in for a landing. The trees just change into these weird blobs, right? You see that here, right? All of these trees. They're not actual trees, they're just blocks. It almost feels like they're just polygons. And I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure, honestly. Even the houses, I feel like they're all melting, right? So not sure what's going on with the photogrammetry, especially when I'm coming in for a landing. If I were to take off from this airport, everything loads just fine. And my rolling cache is set to whatever, like 200 GB or something like that. I have a really good internet connection, so I don't think that's a problem, right? So not sure what's the problem here, but especially when I'm coming in for a landing, that's when this happens, where the trees just change into this kind of blobs, and this happens only at some locations, not everywhere, right? So yeah, that's another thing that I would like them to look into, and hopefully have that fixed as well, because I don't recall this being an issue at any airports that I'm using on MSFS 2020. And I'm sure these will come in. I just wanted to make a video to summarize the most annoying issues that I've faced in my time flying with this sim. Well, I just opened up MSFS 2020 after ages actually, and we have another toolbar bug here in 2020 as well. Nice. So yeah, on to the next point. PMDG 737 777, right? We need a SOBO to do something about whatever is needed to be done to get the PMDG aircrafts in, right? I've read Mr. Randazzo's posts a couple of times. One of the things that they have been kind of stuck with is this whole WASM code, which is not what Phoenix works on. Phoenix works on ProSim, so they were able to port it over fairly quickly to MSFS 2024, but then there is some compilation errors going on with the add-ons that work on WASM. Like, if I'm quoting it wrong, just correct me in the comment section, but that's how I understand it. So there's something that needs to be fixed on MSFS, the Asobo's side, for PMDG to even compile their code on the sim and bring that aircraft in. But I really hope that they fix this soon, because I miss flying the 737s, I miss flying the Boeings, and I would really appreciate if that's back in the sim, in the new sim, right? I mean, I know I can always fly it in 2020, but trust me, like 2024 is a huge upgrade. No matter what I say in this video, it's a huge upgrade in terms of scenery and weather and everything compared to 2020, right? So I don't feel like going back to 2020 to fly just this airplane, right? I hope this comes soon, and that's one of the next things that I feel that it should change, or I feel that it should be corrected, right? Alright, so the next one is SimBrief integration, right? We had this in MSFS 2020 where we had a SimBrief button that brings up the whole SimBrief window that you go through on Google Chrome. Instead of that, now it's built into the sim, so you can basically create a new flight here and add that route directly to the sim and everything, and it was amazing, right? I've made a video on this, and this is one of the best things that happened on 2020 is to have this SimBrief integration, so that you don't have to open Chrome at all. Everything is in the sim. But then for some reason it went away in 2024, right? We have this new EFB tool, which is amazing, don't get me wrong, but people who are IFR airline flyers, I think they're very used to SimBrief. So I mean, if it was working on 2020, why not just add another SimBrief button above the EFB button to at least give people the option to make flight plans on SimBrief if they're very used to it, right? We've been using this tool for years and years now, right? So most of the people would, I think, appreciate if we could just bring this whole SimBrief thing to 2024 as well. So that's another thing. All right, so the next on the list is cameras. So let's go to cameras here. And by the way, toolbar is back again. So yeah, so as soon as I open the camera menu, no matter what view I'm in, it defaults to cockpit view. I don't know why. We didn't have this problem in 2020, but for some reason now, as soon as I open the cameras window, it has to go back to the cockpit view. Small thing, but that's not the point. The point that I was going to make is the focus mode doesn't work. So if I change it to auto, you see that there's nothing blurred out. Manual, yes, manual works, but then in manual, if I change the focus, it doesn't work. So this slider is basically, it's just stuck. Sometimes it gets stuck at 50, and then no matter what value I put in here, it doesn't really reflect, right? It used to work just fine in 2020, but for some reason now it's broken in 2024. I feel like this manual is actually auto, if I'm not wrong, because if I move around, let's say I move around, yeah, looks like the manual has actually changed to auto. So I don't know what's going on there, right? And then when it goes to disabled, it's still in focus mode. You see everything is blurred out in the background. So I don't know what's going on. Disabled and manual for some reason just work, but the drone focus slider is broken. And then when you go to auto again, auto should actually be what this manual is doing, and disabled should be disabled, but apparently auto is disabled and manual is auto and disabled is auto, if that makes any sense. This slider doesn't work anyway. So it'd be great to fix this thing here. Yeah, otherwise it's pretty similar to 2020, so no complaints there. Just a couple of things where the cockpit camera whenever you open the window, it defaults to cockpit camera, and then our beloved focus mode doesn't work. Now the last and a very small thing I want to bring up is to add these wing fade effects and things like that native into the sim. Right, it was already there in P3D, and I believe there were add-ons in FSX that did it too. I think Explain 12 does it too. So when the airplane is passing through the cloud, the wing should kind of fade, right? Which creates a really nice effect. By the way, this is a pre-recorded video, so that's why it's running over 10 seconds here. But you see my point. When we are passing through a cloud, there should be some wing fade going on, engine condensation and stuff like that. There's a lot of effects that are already added, like the heat blur is already there. The touchdown effect is already added, but it'd be great to have this kind of wing fade effect and condensation and stuff like that, because one of the most famous angles or famous screenshots that people take is this wing view, right, over the engine or over the wing or from the back. So that's one of the most famous screenshots that your product is going to be advertised with, right? So it'd be great to have something like that already built into the sim, and not having to buy an add-on for that. So yeah, that was one of my last recommendations here. Again, not a huge one, like it won't put me off completely if this is not there in the sim, but just something that will really change the immersion. Okay, nobody watches outros anymore, so I'll just cut it here. Enjoy this 5-second clip of MSFS 2024. Like and subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching.